Disclaimer. This material is for entertainment purposes only, and for no other purpose. Please consult a legal professional for proper legal advice, including understanding what this document means. Please consult the actual legal document for all legal uses. This presentation is no substitute for the actual filed document. We cannot help you if you do not follow this simple, reasonable, and good advice. Please let us know about any errors in this presentation so that we can correct them. Unfortunately, we cannot and will not correct any errors made in the underlying documents, so please make sure the error is a presentation error. Thank you very much for your time, support, and interest. We hope you enjoy this content. Sponsors. Unfortunately, there are no video sponsors or channel sponsors at this time. If you would like to sponsor us, please reach out. All donations are welcome. Thank you. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and share this video with others. Doing this will help us reach other interested people, and will help to support this channel. We appreciate your action. Thank you. Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, U.S. House of Representatives, Washington, D.C. Deposition of Mark Meadows, No Show. Friday, November 12, 2021. Washington, D.C. The deposition in the above matter was held in Room 4480, O'Neill House Office Building, commencing at 10 a.m. Appearances. For the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Name redacted, Chief Counsel. Name redacted, Senior Investigative Counsel. Name redacted, Detailee, Department of Homeland Security. Name redacted, Chief Clerk. Name redacted, Parliamentarian. Name redacted, Staff Associate. Name redacted, Chief Administrative Officer. Name redacted, Senior Investigative Counsel and of Counsel to the Vice Chair. Interviewer, good morning. We are on the record. Today is November 12, 2021, the time is 10 a.m., and we are convened in the O'Neill House Office Building for the deposition of Mark Meadows to be conducted by the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. My name is redacted. I am the designated Select Committee Staff Counsel for this proceeding. I'm accompanied by name redacted, Deputy Staff Director and Chief Counsel to the Select Committee, name redacted, Select Committee Staff Counsel, name redacted, Select Committee Staff Counsel, name redacted, Select Committee Parliamentarian. And joining us virtually is name redacted and name redacted, who are Select Committee staff, as well as Chief Clerk to the Select Committee, name redacted. For the record, it is now 10:01 a.m., and Mr. Meadows is not present. The person transcribing this proceeding is the House stenographer and notary public authorized to administer oaths. On September 23, 2021, Chairman Benny Thompson issued a subpoena to Mr. Meadows, both to produce documents by October 7, 2021, and to testify at a deposition on October 15, 2021 at 10 a.m. The subpoena is in connection with the Select Committee's investigation into the facts, circumstances, and causes of the January 6th attack and issues relating to the peaceful transfer of power in order to identify and evaluate lessons learned and to recommend to the House and its relevant committees corrective laws, policies, procedures, rules, or regulations. After Mr. Meadows retained counsel, who is George Terwilliger, 111, the Select Committee agreed to postpone the subpoena deadlines to enable his counsel to understand the requests associated with the subpoena and work with Mr. Meadows. Ultimately, by letter dated October 25, 2021, the Select Committee set new deadlines to produce documents and appear for testimony. Mr. Meadows was required to produce documents by November 5, 2021, and appear for testimony on November 12, 2021. By letters dated between October 25 and November 11, the Select Committee engaged with counsel for Mr. Meadows. In the letters, the Select Committee addressed Mr. Meadows' claims of, among other things, absolute testimonial immunity and executive privilege. In the letters, the Select Committee also instructed Mr. Meadows to assert his privilege claims in a privilege log for responsive documents and on a question-by-question basis at the deposition. On November 10, 2021, Mr. Meadows, through counsel, informed the Select Committee that he would not appear at today's deposition citing testimonial immunity and privileges. Specifically, counsel said that, quote, Mr. Meadows cannot agree to appear at 10 a.m. Friday, end quote. Following that letter, the White House counsel's office sent counsel for Mr. Meadows a letter dated November 11, indicating that the White House would not assert claims of testimonial immunity or executive privilege to prevent Mr. Meadows' testimony before the Select Committee. Specifically, the letter states that President Biden, quote, will not assert executive privilege with respect to your client's deposition testimony on these subjects, or any documents your client may possess that bear on them. For the same reasons underlying his decision on executive privilege, President Biden has determined that he will not assert immunity to preclude your client from testifying before the Select Committee, end quote. The Select Committee then sent counsel for Mr. Meadows a final letter in light of the White House counsel's office's stated position. To date, the Select Committee has not received a response. In the letters, the Select Committee informed Mr. Meadows, quote, the Select Committee will view Mr. Meadows' failure to respond to the subpoena as willful noncompliance. Such willful noncompliance with the subpoena would force the Select Committee to consider invoking the Contempt of Congress procedures in 2 U.S.C. Sections 192 and Section 194, which could result in a referral from the House to the Department of Justice for criminal charges, as well as the possibility of having a civil action to enforce the subpoena brought against Mr. Meadows in his personal capacity, end quote. Mr. Meadows has not provided any documents or a privilege log, and Mr. Meadows has not appeared today to answer questions or assert privilege objections. I will mark as Exhibit 1 and enter into the record the Select Committee subpoena to Mr. Meadows, included with which are the materials that accompanied the subpoena, namely, a letter from the chairman, a document schedule with accompanying production instructions, and a copy of the deposition rules. I will mark as Exhibit 2 and enter into the record a series of letters and emails exchanged between the Select Committee and counsel for Mr. Meadows. The records include email service of the subpoena by Ms. which Mr. Scott Gast accepted on Mr. Meadows' behalf on September 23, 2021. The records in Exhibit 2 also include the letters and emails between counsel for the Select Committee and Mr. George Terwilliger, which I described moments ago. And, specifically, they are a letter from George Terwilliger to the Select Committee on October 7, an email from George Terwilliger to the Select Committee on October 13, letters provided by George Terwilliger to the Select Committee, one of which is a letter from him to the White House counsel's office dated October 11, 2021, and the other is a letter to George Terwilliger dated October 6 from Mr. Justin Clark, as counsel to former President Trump, a letter from the Select Committee to George Terwilliger on October 25, two letters from George Terwilliger to the Select Committee on November 3, a letter from the Select Committee to George Terwilliger on November 5, a letter from George Terwilliger to the Select Committee on November 8, a letter from the Select Committee to George Terwilliger on November 9, a letter from George Terwilliger to the Select Committee on November 10, and a letter from the Select Committee to George Terwilliger on November 11. I will mark as Exhibit 3 and enter into the record a letter dated November 11, 2021, from the White House counsel's office to Mr. George Terwilliger as counsel for Mr. Meadows. I will mark as Exhibit 4 and enter into the record an email dated November 9, 2021, and corresponding attachments from name redacted, Chief Investigative Counsel to the Select Committee, to George Terwilliger, with subject line, Deposition Rules. The attachments consist of, 1. A document called Document Production Definitions and Instructions, 2. Deposition Rules, which is a copy of the House Congressional Record page H41 from January 4, 2021, 3rd, which is a copy of Section 3B of House Resolution 8 dated January 4, 2021. And, with that, I will note for the record that it is 10:07 a.m., and Mr. Meadows still has not appeared or communicated to the Select Committee that he will appear today as required by the subpoena. Accordingly, the record is now closed as of 10:07 a.m. Whereupon, at 10:07 a.m., the deposition was concluded. Thank you for your time. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and share this video with others.